Hello. Today we are going to be continuing on with our work in financial maths, and we're going to be looking at percentage profit and percentage loss. So your questions are going to start on page 47, and we're going to have a little talk about our language here because we need to know these things by heart. So our profit means what it means in normal English. So when we're doing these questions that are about real life maths, remember that words mean the same things in maths as they do in real life. So profit means if you're selling something for a particular price and you take away the cost that you had to pay for it, that's going to give you the profit. If you bought a chocolate bar for €1 and you sold it, if you bought your chocolate bar for €1 and you sold it to your friend for €2, you would have made €1 profit. Now, that's the profit that we talk about in daily life all the time. Percentage profit is where we take our euro profit and we divide it by how much the thing cost us and turn it into a percentage by multiplying by 100/1. So this is the main formula we need to worry about today. This is what you already know from your day-to-day life. And a note for some of the more complicated questions, we're going to look at one in a minute. The start price or the cost price in a question is generally 100%. And I'll explain where that comes in a few minutes. For now, let's have a look at an example. So question 3 on page 48. Grace bought two tickets for a music concert at a cost of €60 each. She then discovered that she was unable to attend. She sold one of the tickets to her brother for €48. What percentage loss was this as a percentage of the cost price? Now, in an exam question, they will not usually tell you as a percentage of the cost price. You're expected to know that formula, this formula here, by heart. Now, for part 1, we're selling one of the tickets for €48. So we're selling at €48. In these questions, write down all of the information that you are given out clearly before you jump into things. That ticket had cost Grace €60. Now she bought 2 of them, but we're only dealing with one of them in part 1 of our question. So €60 was our cost price for the one ticket, and €48 was what she sold it for. And we're looking for the percentage loss, they say in the book. Now, we know that our percentage profit or loss is going to be the profit, which can be positive or negative. So if it was negative, we'd say the profit was a loss, divided by cost, 100/1. It says percentage profit or loss in the question, so I'm going to write down the formula for percentage profit or loss. And this is the information I'm given in the question. Well, I have pretty much everything I need. I have the cost, but I don't have the profit explicitly written down yet. So I'm going to use this formula here to get the missing piece of information for the formula that I need. So my profit in euro, I'm going to put a euro sign in front of the profit to distinguish it from the percentage profit, is my selling price minus my cost price is going to be €48 minus €60. So I made a loss, I made a negative profit or a loss of €12. So that's my euro profit. I lost €12. So now, going to my percentage profit formula, it's going to be profit minus 12 all over cost was 60. I paid €60 for the ticket, multiplied by 100/1 to turn it into a percentage. And when I put that in my calculator, I get minus 20%. So my profit was negative. What does that mean? It means I lost 20% of the value, so I have a loss of 20%. That's part 1 handled. So you can see the structure here. The structure is important, just like the structure in our currency exchange questions is important, so don't skip over this. You will be able to do it in your head sometimes, but having that structure will help you when the questions get more difficult. So it's necessary to follow the structure. It's part of your work. Now, part 2. She sold the other ticket at a profit of 15%. What was the selling price of the ticket? Now, this is where cost price being taken to be 100% comes in. So I'm going to write that again. We're told that the profit was 15%. 15%. And we take the cost price to be 100%. This is assumed you're required to know that we can take the cost price to be 100%. It's effectively our starting point. So we start out with a particular cost price, what we pay for something, and then we can sell it for more money or less money, but our starting point is 100%, and we might make a percentage loss or a percentage profit on that, but we start out at 100%. Now, if we look at our question, we are looking for the selling price. So the selling price is what we are searching for. Now, what we're going to do is use this fact that at the cost price of our ticket, which we know about, we know the cost price is €60, and we know that that's 100%. And we know we made a profit of 15%. So we're starting out with the information we know. The cost price is equal to 100% is equal to €60. This is effectively going to be a ratios question. So just like with ratios, or just like with our currency exchange, what we're going to do is find out what 1% of our cost price would be, and then we're going to find out what 115% would be. So if we start out with the cost price being 100%, then our selling price would be 100 plus 15%. If we made 15% profit, cost price is 100%, we made a profit of 15%, that means we sold it at 115% of its original value. And this is our key point. This is how we're going to use our percentages to solve the problem, because we know what 100% of the cost price was, and we know the selling price is 115% of that. So what we're going to do, start out with 100% of our cost price is €60. 1% of our cost price, well, how are we going to get that? We are going to divide both sides by 100. This is a normal equation. Divide both sides by 100. And we'll find that 1% of our cost price is €0.6. Now we want to know what 115% of our cost price is, because that's what our selling price is. So multiply both sides by 115. So we get 115% of our original cost price. We put that into our calculator. We get €69. So we look at what percentage profit we made. We take the cost price to be 100%, which we know is €60. So if the profit was 15% and the cost price was 100%, that means we sold it for 115% of the original cost price. And we can use that information to work out what the selling price must be, which is what we were looking for. Now, finally, part 3. Write down the cost price and selling price of the two tickets combined. What percentage profit or loss as a percentage of the original cost did Grace make overall? So now we're dealing with total cost and total selling price. So part 3, we're asked about the total cost and the total selling price for both tickets. So total cost is 60 plus 60 is €120. Total selling price is 69 plus 48. This is the ticket we were told about in part 1. This is the price we found out we sold for in part 2. And when we add those together, we get 117 euros. So we can immediately see that we've made a small loss. This was our total cost. This is our total selling. So to work out our total profit, T for total, is going to be our selling price minus our cost price. Is 117 minus 120. So we lost €3. Might as well put a euro sign here for my euro profit. Now for my percentage profit, total profit, it's going to be profit in euro divided by my cost multiplied by 100 over 1. Same formulas I've been using here. I've just abbreviated it to use single letters so it doesn't take as long to write, and you're perfectly free to write it the way I'm writing it here, or you can write out the full English words if you prefer. But you must write out the formula. This is my euro sign. Now, let's sub into my formula. So I have a profit of minus 3, so percentage profit is going to be minus 3 all over my total cost is 120. Multiply by 100 over 1 to turn it into a percentage. And now I've subbed everything in. I can put it in my calculator and I find that I get minus 2.5%. I have a negative profit. That means I lost 2.5%. And that's my final answer. So these are the 3 pieces of information you're going to need to keep track of. You can see how we apply them in the question. Make sure you aren't skipping steps. Write out your equations. It is critical for these questions where it's effectively storytelling that you're going to write out the information you're given, the relevant formula, and sub in explicitly to make sure that you get everything out correctly.